بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Sha'bi rahimahullah, he says that I was with Shuraih. Qazi Shuraih is known, very famous Qazi. I was with Shuraih, and a lady came to the Qazi Shuraih rahimahullah, and she was having a dispute, and they had some kind of dispute over some issue, whether it was about nikah, whether it was about property, land, money, wallahu alam. فأرسلت عينيها فبكت. So she started to cry a lot, started crying and weeping. So Sha'bi said, فقلت أبا أمية, I said to Qazi, ما أظن هذه البائسة إلا مظلومة. The way she is crying, she must be oppressed. Just look the way look at how she is. She's crying so much, she's in tears. So then he said, then he's فقال يا شعبي إن إخوة يوسف جاءوا أباهم إشاء يبكون. Even the brothers of Yusuf, after they committed the attempted murder of Yusuf, or attempted, kidnapping of Yusuf, they were also crying. Do you understand? So just because somebody is crying, it doesn't mean that they're the ones who are oppressed. Yes. In the hadith, it comes, the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ مَطَلَ الْغَنِيُّ ظُلْمٌ. The two tafsirs of this, مَطَلُ الْغَنِيُّ ظُلْمٌ, different sharh of this. But one is that the ghani is the maf'ul bihi. So one is matal is the masdar, and the mudhaf ilayh is the fa'il. And one is the mudhaf ilayh is the maf'ul bihi. So one is that the person who is rich, if you have the ability to repay your loan and you don't repay the loan, is a great oppression. And the other sharah is that the ghani is the maf'ul bihi. That a person, he may be rich, he may have money, but just because he's rich and he has money, it doesn't mean you have to give him back his money. You say, I'm not paying him back, he's got a lot of money anyways. Do you understand? And I mentioned a story to you before as well, that a person came to one of the kings, the Khulafa of the Banu Abbas, and he said to him that this is the shoes of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the king took the shoes and he put it on his face and he put it on his eyes, and then he took it, and then he gave him a very great gift in exchange for the presenting the shoes. So after he left, so he said to the people, he said, I know that forget these being the shoes of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the handkerchief of Rasulullah, whatever he said, I know the Prophet his eyes never even fell on this. But I know that people, they always like to, it's natural nature, people's nature is that they always assume that the person who is weaker and who is always right, and the person who's in authority is always wrong. So if I didn't honor this, and if I didn't give him a recompense or give him some kind of prize or reward in exchange, what he would have said, that I gave the king, the Khalifa, I gave him the shoes or the handkerchief of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but the king had no respect for it. So just in order to keep him quiet, I just said, okay, I'll just pretend that it's the thing of Rasulullah and I'll give you the money. I know it's not, I know that. So what we have to do is we have to be very careful. Is that when we see something, sometimes especially now with social media, what happens is that we see one picture, one video, one clip, one side of a story, and we automatically assume that's the full story. And then we end up, from one thing, you end up with just starts to riots and people dying and everything. You don't know the full story. Yes, it may seem on this evidence that this is somebody, on this evidence it may seem that this person is guilty. We don't have the full story. But what happens now is just that one clip, that one still, and now that one still, you don't know what that really represents. And people have the inclination, and people have this, this is wrong. Oppression is wrong. Doesn't matter who's. If somebody's weak, he's doing oppression, he's wrong. If somebody is elderly and he's doing oppression, the younger, he's wrong. If somebody's rich and he's doing oppression, he's wrong. Oppression in all forms is wrong. However, we have to make sure that just don't jump on the bandwagon. Don't just judge very quickly. You have to hear all sides of the story. And see everything. Nowadays, what's happening is what we call mob justice. That just somebody decides that this is wrong, and they start doing that. Obviously, sometimes, for example, that's what happens. People, like, you see people just getting dragged around the street. Somebody's being dragged and killed and murdered in the street because he done something. Because he done this, or he killed this, or he raped somebody. But you can't just do that. If he has committed rape, he has committed a crime, he has committed theft, he has disrespected the Quran, he has disrespected all of these things, he's done a crime, then he needs to be brought to justice. Things need to be taken into place, whatever the rule or the law, whatever it is. But if the people start taking justice into their own hands, what happens then? It becomes a lawless society. That's why we have, and even in Islam, you can't take justice on your own. You have to go to the Qadi, you have to go to the Qadha. Yes? Similarly, don't just jump on the bandwagon because it seems right. Yes, we want to help. We want to assist. We want to make sure justice is established. But don't jump and just thinking, oh yeah, that's it. Because it is our nature that we see that somebody is weaker, the person who's an authority is always, usually, we want to help the weaker person. And that's good, natural instinct. That's a good instinct we have. But it doesn't always mean that is the scenario. You have a video of police. If the police is doing something wrong, they should be questioned. They should be taken to task. They should be put to jail. But sometimes that's not the full story. Like there's another video before that. Or if you see the other angle, something different. You understand? Sometimes you say, you would say, for example, let's say human beings. Teachers are human beings. Teachers are human beings. Oh, teacher, he said something very rude to me. Okay, very good. Teacher said something very rude to you. Correct. Teachers have not said that to you. And parents will go and complain to the teacher, to the madrasa and the head teacher, that, oh, but your teacher, your staff member said something very rude and he insulted my son, or he said something. In fact, that's true. And he shouldn't have done that. It's wrong. We are the teachers, and the ulama. We are the inheritors of the anbiya, so therefore we must make sure we uphold the very high standards. But what, 20 days before in class when you were being very rude? You were passing silly comments. You were being cheeky. You were doing all of these things. And after 25 days, the teacher just lost his patience. He said something which not have said. That's never said, is it? But everybody wants to support, oh yeah, the teacher shouldn't have done that. It was wrong. So you have to look at everything. That's what happens. And you see, in most, no teacher, even as in primary, I don't know, government schools, I think they're giving up now in government schools. I was talking to one of our students before. So he was saying that his job is, he's a behavior, some kind of name, in Beecham's College. He's in here. He's a behavior something. So I was like, you behavior, like, you know, I know you were like a bad day, but you weren't not. He goes, no. So I said, what, you have to get counseling? He goes, no. If it gets really bad in school, and like they start swearing at the teachers too much, or they start getting fight and throwing things around, then I have to intervene, and then I have to go calm them down, call the police, call the parents. So in the schools, this is what's happening now. Like, this is the level that you have, not swearing, but swearing too much at the teacher. Then I have to interfere, basically. This is how it's gone. So now, so people say, make sure you have Ofsted, you have all this. Like, make sure that children are not abused. Yes, children should not be abused in any way or form. Children should not be abused, should be treated with respect. They are the future, they have to be looked after. Their mental state, their physical state has to be looked after. But it's gone so far that the people who are weaker, you're trying to give them so many rights, so much thing, they just can't do anything. So it's just like, that's why nobody wants to be teaching anymore in secondary schools, government schools. This is ridiculous. This is just, you go there, you're just going to get, you're going to get abused and get bullied, and these teenagers are taking advantage like crazy left, right, and centre. Like, it's like a jungle. It's a jungle out there. So then it's like, you're trying to give them so much rights and nothing. You understand? So you have to keep moderation. That just because somebody is weaker, it doesn't mean they're always right. Sometimes you have some. I'm not saying, again, I'm trying to say very clear. I'm not trying to say there's a right to oppression, but there's simply the moderation. Nowadays, like, the concept is good. Some they have a good concept. That's a concept. That's a story altogether. It's a good concept, but it's application. So okay, make sure that I don't know in England, when we were younger, we used to get in school. I went to school, normal school, government, not private school, but it wasn't a Muslim school, normal school. So I had Miss Carrington. She's still alive. She's probably retired. She's very old. So she had a belt. And she was a head teacher, and it's all ladies in the school. Nobody got abused. Nobody got thing. But once in a while, you would get licks. Once in a while, anybody mess around, you're out of line. You get hit with that belt. And because of that, the whole school's in that. And anybody do anything wrong, I can tell Miss Carrington, or you, Martin Baton. I can tell Miss Carrington, or you. Hey, but no, don't touch she. Because you're scared. If you tell Miss Carrington and she finds out that you did something wrong, you're going to get belts. And you can't go home to your parents and say, you deserve it. And now what happens? It was not abuse. Probably sometimes it did go out of the way, case. But what happens? The young kids had to stay in thing. Because you know that little children in school, primary school, everybody would work hard. Everybody would do things. And it was fun. We saw a lot of fun. All the kids were fun. We used to have playground, all that kind of stuff. But if you step out of the line, she had this belt. I can't remember what the name of the belt was. No, she wouldn't have any problems. Even other teachers, all female teachers. But that's why now. But it's now okay. That's good. So you put a system in place. Okay, we don't want any kid to be abused. Brilliant. That's good. Very good. Alhamdulillah. No kids to be abused. And that's what Islam teaches as well. The Prophet ﷺ said, "La tadribil wajha." Don't hit anybody in the face. Don't abuse them. The Prophet ﷺ, he himself never hit anybody. It's very brilliant. You're putting a system in place to protect the weak. But what's happened now? There's no discipline at all. And in Europe, sometimes in some countries, you can't forget hitting your kids. You can't put them on the wall now. That's if you have not on the wall, on the stairs. So before it's okay, you just hit them. In school, you have a system. You can hit them. You have a log at everything. That's gone. Then you have punishment. Now I think some places they say you can't even put your kids on the stairs. That's abuse, mental abuse. Are they? You're trying to protect them, which is a good intention. I hope it's a good intention. But what are you creating now? Yes, you say okay. Look after people's feelings. That's very good. Look after people's feelings. You shouldn't hurt anybody. We should make sure the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would only speak the truth. He was very kind, very polite. He would never hurt anybody's feelings. Yes, but then now you have okay. You have, okay, let's play something in America, basketball. Play basketball, no keep score. Why? So nobody loses. So nobody loses, and how you can actually understand so is that going to happen in real life? Rest of your life, nobody loses. When you go into the real life, you're gonna get fired. You're gonna have to do something. If you're gonna become a professional footballer or basketballer, you've got to learn that, you know what, I'm not good enough. So a false deception. So all of these things, we have to be. A lot of these things we have is based on good intentions and good concepts and good ideas. When it goes far, it's not. It does that thing. So he's saying here as well. Now the woman came to the Qazi, Shuraik, crying. So he said, yes, if she is being oppressed, then we must take justice. But just because she's crying doesn't mean that she's right. Do you understand? Just because somebody is screaming loud that I am being wrong and I'm being oppressed, it doesn't mean that they're being oppressed. If they are being oppressed, we must help them as individuals, as society. We must do that. Yes, if a teacher is abusing, a teacher is taking advantage of the children and being very cruel to them, it must be stopped. If teachers in secondary school, primary school, government school, if parents, adults, husbands, anybody who's stronger is taking advantage of somebody who's weaker and abusing them, that is wrong. It is impermissible. It's incorrect. However, just because somebody is weaker and they're making court claims, doesn't mean that what happens then is that in society in balance, justice is both ways. This hadith is both ways. If you're rich, you must pay back the person who you owe money. If he is rich, you have to pay him back as well. Do you understand? Everybody has their rights. Everybody is smart. If not, and then that's what I'm saying. That's somebody as well. When you see anything in social media, any kind of movement, don't just jump on board. Analyze, see what the whole story is first. Do you understand? Because sometimes that happens. Something happens and people just jump on board and they realize, oops, too late. It wasn't really true. It's called mob justice. Mob justice is very, very dangerous. Not only for individuals, but society. It creates lawlessness. It creates a society which is not functionable. Do you understand? So many things we can learn from this story. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to act upon it. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.